You can always fast forward to when I start reading or when I start talking about reading. So we're talking about psychic education this morning. If you want to, I have 2 other videos. Obviously not a videographer, so when you go to the past videos, they're literally just me talking. So let me clean this camera off a little bit on TikTok. There we go. Hopefully that helped. I don't have intros, I don't have outros at the moment, and there's no fancy video stuff, but the information is great. So last week we talked about the Clairs. What did we talk about the week before that? Oh, hold on. Drop my lotion. All right, so we talked about the Clairs last week. If you want to go back to last week, that live should be up. And then what did we talk about the first time? I'm not even sure what we talked about the first time. I should, a real social media person would put it in the notes. Hopefully I would get there. Hopefully I would get to be a live or a real video person one of these days. All right, so morning TikTok. Send some love with the free hearts. Shares also. Shares are really important now. I guess TikTok changed their algorithm. If you're on YouTube, please follow. Subscribe, I think it's called on YouTube. All right. If you're on both, you can see the differences in what TikTok does. I don't have any filters on TikTok, and yet TikTok makes us look considerably better. I definitely think that's part of their algorithm, is to make people feel good about making content. YouTube, you should catch up and take care of some of these wrinkles for me. All right. Good morning, TikTok. Give everybody a few more minutes. I should have got on TikTok first and then started YouTube, but it is what it is this week. I'm not going to be here too long today. We're going to be here about an hour, maybe. It might not last as long on YouTube because I do the information here and then I hop over to TikTok. But my notes today, you guys keep those free tip tapping likes. All right, my notes today are breaking down how to read someone in a psychic reading. One of the reasons I started doing a little bit of free psychic education over here is because there are so many people who are doing animal communication or mediumship who have never even, they don't have a psychic foundation at all. Ton of mediums or wannabe mediums or whatever you want to call it, who don't know the difference. So they don't know if they're pulling in the information psychically or if they're doing it as a medium. Now, I also do think that there are people who will kind of try to one-up you and be like, oh, you're getting that psychically. They can't tell. Only you can tell where the information is coming from. Unless it's something to do with day-to-day life and unless it's really obvious, right? All right, good morning over here on TikTok. How are you guys? Thank you, MA, for all the likes and rainbow, or that's not a rainbow, that's a bow. I'm not sure what to call you. I'll call you Bo. All right. So one of the reasons for a good foundation of being psychic or being able to differentiate between psychic and mediumship is because when you're doing mediumship, you obviously want to be talking to someone who has passed over. And if you don't know what psychic is and you don't know the difference, then that creates a problem. So today we're going to break down how to read someone in a psychic reading. Psychic readings take just as long for development as mediumship does. In fact, you can do both at the same time, but in all honesty, especially the way that I was taught anyways, is that you should be psychic and then you should move into mediumship, which is more or less how I did it. So that's probably, I'm a little biased, right? But that doesn't mean, oh, you're Claudia's daughter. Hello, sweetheart. How are you? So that doesn't mean that, where was I? It doesn't mean if you're already a medium, you can't go back and learn how to be psychic and add that to your toolbox. In fact, I absolutely think that you should. I think that it's really quite important to be both. So one of the first things you're going to do So again, we talked about clairs last week, clear seeing, clear hearing, clear knowing, clear tasting, all the clairs, right? I call them clear. Everyone does. Let's see. Let's go over one really fast. For example, where did we go here? Clear cognizance is clear knowing, right? So the fancy term for it is clear cognizance. I'm going to make sure I'm getting my clairs right because I do tend to get those completely mixed up, which is why I actually just go with the clears. And I can't find that piece of paper, of course. So we're just going to go with the clairs also. And then we're going to talk a little bit about why you want to meditate. So clear knowing is clear cognizance. Clairvoyant is clear seeing. So knowing which clairs go to seeing, tasting, feeling, etc. is an important part of being psychic. Now, you also there are a ton of clairs, if you will. There's clair temperature, that you can feel temperatures, that you can feel a change in the atmosphere. There's a lot of different clairs. So anything that you do, more or less, can be put into your database. Well, literally anything you know, do, see, hear, learn can be put into your database. And your database is what you are. Good morning, Jamie. And your database is what you are using in order to talk to other people's energy, animals, dead people, etc. All right, excuse me. I just wanted to finish that hot tea. All right. So when we talk about breaking down how to read someone, number one, you want to set the space, right? You definitely want to make your sitter as comfortable as possible. So this is more like phrasing things and stuff like that. I have a longer one that I'm going to do next week, basically kind of called energy mapping. Energy mapping is a part of it, right? Energy signatures, energy frequencies, just kind of learning to sit within the space that someone has. That's where the information is. It's more or less reading a book, right? You're opening a page, you're going into someone's energy, you're picking a spot within their energy, and then you're bringing in the information in order to give them information. All right. So obviously you want to make the sitter comfortable, right? Energy and presence set the tone. So your energy, your presence. Very often I'm going a little bit too fast. I have to purposely slow down, take a deep breath, and kind of meet the person where they're at. Because if they're grieving and they're upset, obviously I don't want to go into a psychic reading like, hey, how's it going? Unfortunately, that's usually how I get on Zoom, exactly. And then I wait, and then I mirror kind of where they're at. So if they're deeply depressed or something like that, I can't go in there right away laughing and, having a good time and expect them to meet me where I'm at. I need to meet them where they're at. So that's part of creating a safe space, right? So whether you're in person or online, you want a peaceful, distraction-free setting. Like I fail at that sometimes because the dogs are running around whining or barking or need to be put out. And then you're going to start with just some grounding questions. You're just going to say, hey, how did you find me? How's your day been? What brings you to this reading? And that just kind of eases everyone into the sound of my voice, the feel of my energy, sound of your voice, the feel of your energy. And then you're going to explain the process. I don't spend a lot of time doing this, but there should be some sort of, do you understand how this works? Do you understand, the process? Do you have any questions about the process before we get started? Sometimes I just jump right in because people are return customers and they've already been through it, or they came over from TikTok and they know the sound of my voice. They know that I cuss. They know that I'm a little unorthodox, right? They already know these things. You better be nice. So this is not distraction free. However, ideally it would be. If I was reading, if I was doing a Zoom for a paid customer right now, I would have put the dogs in their crates, which I really should have done for this as well. But I do forget things on a very regular basis. So after you explain the process, you're going to encourage them to be very open-minded. Think about the people that you know now. Think about the people that are alive. Think about the people that have passed over. Think about the people that you work with. Sometimes this is It's not exact, right? Let me talk to you about Jane Doe at 123 Main Street in some town in Kansas. It isn't like that. And then a lot of skeptics are like, why can't you give me this? Why can't you give me that? Well, if I could give you these things, I would be winning the lotto and you wouldn't even see me on social media, right? So if we could do it that way, that would be amazing. I did try one time to bet on horses and I lost a little money. It wasn't a lot of money. It was a little bit of money, but still lost. Didn't work that way. But it did before I bet money, so I don't get that. So before I bet money, I did a bunch of practice runs, and I was picking 3 out of 4 winners. As soon as I put money down, I lost my money. Go figure. But when you're encouraging open-mindedness in your sitter, right? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It removes the pressure from you and the sitter, and make sure that they understand that in a psychic reading, it's different than a mediumship reading. In a psychic reading, let me make sure there's, there we go. Let's see. I just want to make sure that if there's comments on YouTube, I can see them. A psychic reading is different than a mediumship reading in that it's very co-creative. You're literally going to ask questions and expect feedback. You're not hiding everything. You're not. I remember I was friends with this one person, and I came in. She says, "I want you to give me a reading," and I was like, "Okay, cool." Brought my cards, the whole 9 yards, and she just sat there and stared at me, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I need a question. I need some interaction. She's like, "No, just tell me. Tell me about my life." I was like, "Oh, I'm not that kind of psychic." Now, some people are those kind of psychics, and they're dead on, and they're good at it. I'm the kind of psychic that I want you to send me in a direction. I want you to tell me what you want to know. Love, career, family, health, right? I'm not just going to sit down and start picking things out of thin air and start telling you about it. In my opinion, it just isn't the way that it works for me. Some people do. She said, she was like, I used to go to the psychic, I'd sit down and she'd tell me exactly what was wrong with me. And I was like, not the way I work. So different psychics work different ways. But within a mediumship reading, the less information you give is the better. In a psychic reading, almost the more information you give, the better. Almost. There's some. A lot of times psychic readings are also validating what you already feel or you already know. And the psychic comes in and basically validates it and says, I also see this, or I do see this. And then that person's like, I thought so. Or the person may say something like, well, I have 2 choices and I want to know which choice is better. You don't need to know the choices as a psychic. You just need to talk to them about their choices. So you would, if you use a tool, which some people use tools, some people do not use tools, it does not make you a better psychic or worse psychic because you use tools. And those psychics that act like cards are somehow like not applicable. I think they're just kind of in their ego. I hate that term, in their ego, and then I just said it. Okay, so for example, somebody sits down and says, I have 2 choices. You're like, you sit down and you say, okay, choice 1, I got this. Choice 2, I got this. Let's talk about it, right? And then you talk about it, you brainstorm with them, you validate information that they already have. But you can use a tool. You don't necessarily need to know what the choices are in order to talk about the choices. Because when you're bringing in information from the universe, you're going to get the right answers, if that makes sense, for each, what is that called? For each choice. All right. So what is the goal of a psychic reading? Because it's not about proving that you know things. It's not about the wows. It's not about like, oh my God, how could you have known that? Now, those are cool. I just did a psychic reading yesterday. And the things that I was able to pull out, that is cool. But it isn't the point, right? It isn't the point to make somebody be like, how did you know that? And the point is that you're helping the sitter understand themselves better. You're helping the sitter, you're providing guidance. You're not controlling something. You're not telling them what to do. You're giving them ideas. You're brainstorming. You're offering clarity, validation, and next steps, which is what we already talked about, right? A lot of times those next steps are what a lot of psychics don't do. They validate it. They talk about the current energy. They talk about the past energy. But so what? Now what? Right? You have to have a next step. You have to have somewhere to go. You have to have a plan. You got to put something together like, This choice has this energy behind it. This choice has this energy behind it. This choice has this energy behind it. And yes, that applies to people as well. I read for people who were dating 4 different people and they're like, hey, I need to know, person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4. And we talked about each person. And then we talked about the combined energy of showing up for yourself within the dating realm, if you will. Most psychic readings are going to end up being about love. It's just the way it works. If you don't like reading about love, maybe being psychic isn't for you, right? I like to call it energy reading versus psychic, but it's the same thing. Psychic reading is about offering clarity. Okay, we talked about that. It's about supporting self-growth too and trust in your own intuition. I did a mediumship reading the other day where she's like, I already talk to my people every day. And I'm like, okay, why are you here? You have to trust that if you're already talking to your past over people, trust that. Trust in that. You don't need me. If you know what to do in a situation, work-wise and stuff like that, you don't need a psychic. Psychics are meant to support. They're meant to be brainstorming. It's meant to give you information you may not otherwise have thought of. It's a way to look at something differently. Thank you, Jamie. And it's about trusting your own intuition also. So once you go to a psychic a few times and you realize that they're just validating what you already knew, you'll probably quit going to them because you don't necessarily need them to validate once you trust in your own intuition. Definitely about supporting self-growth. So a lot of times sometimes psychics will rephrase the question. So if you show up and you say, I want to know what my daughter thinks about me, the psychic may rephrase that in how can I best show up to know what my daughter thinks about me. So instead of necessarily going to the daughter to see what she thinks about you, you go to you to see how you can best show up for the relationship with your daughter. And that's about self-growth versus validating yourself through someone else. Jamie's amazing. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you. All right. On YouTube and TikTok. All right. Yeah, so one of the things that I wrote down here is I'm here to help you validate. I'm here to help you brainstorm. I'm here to help you tap into your own intuition, but you always have free will. And the energy of this moment doesn't mean it's going to be the energy of the next moment. I had someone say something like, well, you said James was going to be a viable option. Well, 8 months ago, when I did the reading, James was a viable option. But energy changes and everyone has free will. The sitter has free will. The person we're talking about has free will. Literally everything, right? So was James a viable option? 8 months ago he was. What happened within 8 months, right? Maybe you got to know him better. Maybe the excitement of a new relationship was what was the energy of the moment. There could be so many different things. Energy is absolutely fluid. How you feel right now may not be how you feel at 2 p.m. today. All right. When we read someone, we're tuning into their energy field, right? So this holds emotions, this holds memories, this holds fears, this holds desires, unconscious blocks, trauma, trapped emotions. That's what our energy is. Oh, there's my clairvoyance. I knew it was in my notes somewhere. Okay. Unconscious blocks and trauma, especially trapped trauma. Those are things that we are able to see. I have literally gone back to people's younger selves so many times and said, do you remember or do you understand this reference? I'll tell this short story really fast, which you guys have heard me tell before because it's such a wonderful kind of example of what I'm talking about. I'm sitting there, this is at a psychic fair in person in Colorado Springs, and I'm reading for this woman who's talking to me about her cat. So I'm doing an animal communication with a cat, and her husband was sitting off, right? So we're at this table, we're like this, and her husband's sitting like right over here. And I'm talking to this woman, and this energy kept coming in, and I was like, do you know a boy? He's like 17, 18 maybe, maybe 19, but I think he's like 17. He just feels like 17. And she's like, I don't. And I described him. I said, well, he has dark hair, he's tall, he's thin, and he's not on a phone. He's actually reading books, which, if you know, this is 2025. When's the last time you saw a 17-year-old reading a book, right? They do. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, he's not on a phone. He's like reading a book. And I think he likes engineer stuff like math. He's really good at math. And he's thin and he's tall. He has dark hair. He has blue eyes. You don't know this kid? You don't know this kid at all? She's like, no. And now she's getting irritated because I'm not talking about the cat. But unfortunately, this energy came in so strong, right? So we're going over this and we're going to talking about the cat. And she wants to travel and da da da. Finally, I'm like, listen. Are you sure you don't know who this kid is? Because like he just keeps coming back into the reading. And she looks over at her husband, who now has gray hair. He does have blue eyes. I didn't see him before he sat down, so I didn't know he was tall. He does look thin, sitting down. And she goes, I mean, could it be him? And I look at him and I'm like, maybe? He comes over, sits down. We get to talking. It was literally his 17-year-old self coming in to talk to him. He had wanted to be a pilot because I kept talking about he wanted to do something and he didn't get to do it, and he wants you to still do it. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing from memory, so it was a much better reading in person. And he says he had been accepted to the Air Force Academy, and he was so excited to become a pilot. And unfortunately, he made some mistakes. He was there for a little while. Right before he was 18 or 19, he made some mistakes and ended up getting kicked out. And so he didn't get to be the pilot his younger self wanted to be. And so I'm sitting there reading for him. And I'm like, well, you're not dead. So go learn to fly, right? Like, is money an option or is money a problem? He's like, not really. I was like, then go buy flying lessons. Like, your younger self is like screaming for you to keep living, right? And so that is what I mean by emotions, fears, things that you didn't get to do. When you're psychic and when you're reading into people's psychic energy, you can legitimately go back to times in their life. Most of the time, energy will give it to you. You could pick an age if you really wanted to. Like, you could say, did you have a very tumultuous time in life that you'd like to go back to and talk to that younger self and see what you get, right? Honestly, you're only limited by your own imagination and what you're willing to do. Sorry, I'm on TikTok and YouTube, if anybody wonders why I keep doing this. So anyway, that guy teared up and everything. Like, this was an important part of his life that was coming back to visit with him. His younger self was legitimately coming back to visit with him. And there was no way I could have known any of that stuff. So there's no way. Does that make sense? Ironically, the wife was irritated because I wasn't talking about the cat. And I'm sitting here giving this guy like the reading of his lifetime, bringing through his younger self, and she's irritated about the cat. I'm like, do you need your $25 back? I'm kidding. All right. I didn't say that because it was 25 bucks and I was keeping it. Anyway, that psychic fairs are very often a really good place to also try out different psychics and try out different modalities, because the prices are often at a special price because it's at an event. So just wanted to put that out there. All right, so when we're tuning into their energy field, that's what we're using is clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. That's going to be images, symbols, mental movies, right? This is going to be memories. This is going to be dreams. This is going to be pictures you saw on the internet. It's using your database. Now, will there ever be something that isn't in your database that they try to use? Yes, I have seen new things, right? More or less, though, I would say 95% of the time they're using what you know, what you've learned, memories that you've had, because they show you something. So if they show you your cousin, and you're talking about what's coming up, and your cousin has been to jail, right? Well, I see jail. So you need to be able to not interpret your database as much as you need to be able to at least recognize your database and what it might mean to the person that you're talking to. Clairsentience, which is clear feeling. These are sensations in your own body that reflects theirs or reflects something that they have been through or something that they're going to go through. When you are clear feeling, this is when you might be like, this is a little tight, right? You're feeling like that. Like, if you were in my energy right now, you might be like, why did I wear this shirt? It's a little tight on my neck, right? And it was because it was in the clean pile for anybody that, okay. But clairaudient. This is clear hearing. Words and phrases that drop into your mind. It sounds like you. You need to understand that when you are doing psychic readings or mediumship readings, it sounds like you. It is your voice, your memories, your thoughts. It isn't going to be Samuel L. Jackson coming in to narrate this reading. Claircognizance. And there's a lot of other clairs. Please go back to the video I did last week if you want to know more about clairs. Claircognizance is clear knowing, a sudden understanding without logic. If you've ever walked into a room and you just knew who was cheating on who, who has IBS, who is depressed, who is sad. This is clear knowing without a normal reason for knowing this. A lot of us in this realm, in this, all of us come equipped with this, by the way. So we're all born with this. These are just skills that you can learn. However, a lot of us were those annoying little kids that would say something at a family get-together that was completely inappropriate, like, you know, Uncle so-and-so is drunk again, and no one else could tell that he was drunk because he's a functioning alcoholic, right? But you know, because you feel things, because you are clear knowing. Another quick tiny story. My mother was pregnant in 1974. I kept telling her, there's 2 babies in there. And she's like, Mariana. This was before sonograms. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't before sonograms, but we didn't have money. So she's like, Mariana, the doctor says there's 1 baby. There's 1 baby. I was like, Mom, there's 2 babies. I don't know what you want me to do here. I was 5. And I just kept telling her. And I would put my little ear up to her belly. And I would be like, there's 2 babies. There's 1 for you and 1 for me. So I'm laying on the couch sleeping the night that my mom goes to the hospital to give birth. And I don't know, like 3 a.m. or something, my Aunt Charlotta wakes me up and she's like, Mariana, you were right. There was 2 babies. They're twins. And I was like, I knew it. And I went back to sleep. So clear knowing. And all of us have this. All of us have this. So anybody that's sitting on here going, I don't have a cool story like this, it doesn't mean you didn't have it. It just means that you don't have a cool story about twins, right? All right. So in a psychic reading, again, we are breaking down how to read someone in a psychic reading. One of the reasons I started this, if you're new here, is that a lot of mediums don't have that psychic foundation, and it's really part of, if your mediumship is stalled, you're not getting the information that you want to get or anything else, it might be because your psychic foundation needs to be built up. All right, so asking the right questions. In a psychic reading, questions guide the reading. They literally tell your energy where to go. Hey, on TikTok. They literally tell your energy where to go, and then their energy reciprocates. Their energy responds, for lack of a better term. This information is so quick. I was just telling my class last night. Wait, today's Saturday. Night before last. Just telling the class. Sometimes the information will come in before you have even finished asking the question, okay? So you need to get those first impressions down. You need to understand your first impressions. Avoid yes/no questions. Use open-ended questions. Instead of, will I get the job? Ask something like, what energy is surrounding my career path right now? Will I get the job? Sure. But are you gonna like the job? Is this actually the job that's going to take you to the goal that you have? So there's a lot of energy surrounding a yes/no answer that can also be picked up. YouTube and TikTok for anyone who just dropped in. All right. Instead of, will my ex come back, right? Which should be terrifying. Ask, what do I need to know about this relationship for my best intentions, for my goals, for myself? That's what you really need to know. You don't need to know if your ex is going to come back. What you need to know is, should I let my ex come back? Do I need my ex to come back? Is there something about my ex coming back that I think is going to fill a space that I currently need filled? Does that make sense? And first of all, when you get on TikTok, unfortunately, there are these absolute travesty readers who will be like, here's how to get your ex back. Listen, don't ever try to get somebody back that doesn't want to be there. Ever. Right? That is absolutely a recipe for disaster. And I speak from incredible experience. I fought for my trauma. I was like, no, let me back in. I need this. I, in fact, did not need that. All right. The more specific the question, the more clear and detailed the answers will be. The more clear and detailed energy will be able to communicate with you. So when you're doing this, you're trying to pinpoint specific areas. energy targeting, right? So when we're asking a question about love, we want to put on those little blinders that they put on racehorses, right? I was just telling the class this one too. Put on those little blinders because you only want to go to one section. You're not wanting to go to every section within the energy. You're not wanting to go, yeah, exactly, Jamie. She said we never want to go backwards. I agree with that. So you put on the little blinder things because I want to go specifically to this relationship or this question or this promotion or whatever. You don't want to go to the entire energy surrounding someone's life because then it's too much information. How do you pick through it? So you pinpoint, I only want to see this. That's why you ask specific questions, because then you get specific answers. Every time I do readings on social media, I get people who are like, will I get the job? Will I be happy? Will I be rich? I'm obviously pulling that out of my butt, but you get the point. Those are 3 questions. Those aren't one question. So someone that is acting like they're reading for you and they say, oh, da 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 da. Those are 3 different questions with 3 different energy signatures, with 3 different follow-through things, right? And I would really say, I understand that some psychic people can see quite far into the future, right? I personally, 3 to 6 months, because number one, you're not going to remember this reading after 3 to 6 months anyways, right? But it's also very co-creative. Let's help co-create the next 3 to 6 months in a positive manner. So that's why you want to pinpoint the question or the energy. That's why you want to ask specific questions. So for example, directing our focus. Otherwise, the information can feel scattered, and you can intentionally scan different areas of their life. So if you want to scan for mental energy and find their biggest mental blocks, you're going to go to the mind and the thoughts, right? And you're going to look for patterns, especially looping patterns. If you're talking about heart and love life, you're going to go to their emotions. You're going to talk about unresolved things in relationships, and you're going to talk about their love dynamic, but you're also going to talk about maybe where they're at fault, right? Because no one is perfect. And so a lot of times people will sit down and they want to talk about other people, but where can you improve how you show up for the love relationship? All right, career and purpose. This is kind of solar plex energy, right? So you're going to go to their solar plexes, and are they aligned with their work? Are they aligned with their passion? Are they doing what they should be doing? Body, health, physical areas. Any areas of physical stress? Is your body storing emotional pain? A lot of times, I've shown this book before. I don't know where it is at the moment, but it's called Metaphysical Anatomy. And it will talk about the emotions behind whatever physical ailments and physical symptoms you're having. Now, do those ailments and symptoms just disappear once you know the emotions behind them? They don't. I wish it worked like that. But knowing is worthy. It's worth it. So an example technique is imagining a spotlight that scans their body. Another way is that you can use your hand and scan their body. So in your mind's eye, you're starting at their crown chakra, their head, and you're scanning their body, right? You could do it sideways, you could do it this way, you could do it with both hands. You could get a pendulum, you could get out your dowsing rods, you could get out your cards, whatever it is that helps you to sit in their energy and scan for things. Now, you always have a disclaimer that you're not a doctor. So what you see or feel or hear is for them to investigate. You're not telling them that they have, thank you over there. You're not telling them you have this. You should never, ever, ever diagnose anything because we're not doctors. So you would always go into this with the disclaimer that this is what it feels like. I think you should investigate this further. Number one, you don't want to freak anyone out. And there's a lot of people that take psychics word for word, right? So you don't want to freak someone out and make it worse than it would have otherwise been. But also, again, we're not doctors. That's just the bottom line. Very often when I give advice, I'm like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not your therapist. Take what resonates and shit can the rest. Because people have to be responsible for how they deal with the information that they're getting. All right. You want to pause. So you're doing the spotlight or the scanning, and you want to pause in the areas that feel heavy, warm, or tingly, because that's where the energy is waiting to talk to you, right? My cousin does tuning forks. And when she gets to a place where the energy is very thick and very heavy, she stops there and she tries to take a deep breath. We were just talking about this the other day. And if she can't take a deep breath, she knows she has to stay there with the tuning fork. She knows that's where some trapped energy is. Energy? I'm not sure if that's plural or singular. Anyway, so she stops there and she doesn't move on until she can take a deep breath. And then she was saying sometimes if it's really stagnant or really heavy, I'll have to tell the person on the table to take a deep breath in order so she could take a deep breath and kind of move that energy along. All right. And then you can literally ask the energy. You're literally having conversations with the energy. What does this part of their life want to tell me? What does this part of their body want to tell me? What does this part of their life want? Oh, 7.7. Jamie, you're amazing over here on TikTok. Thank you. I love it when I look up and I see repeating or the same numbers. What does this part of their life want to tell me? It's literally like opening a book, going to a page and saying, what does this page want to tell me? What does this page need to communicate? What is this page going to teach me? Okay. All right. This is a little longer than I thought. I thought this was going to be a little shorter. Maybe we'll do the meditation next week. But your sitter needs to understand and connect with what you also have to tell them, right? And so you need to be able to phrase things correctly. You need to be able to say, like, I'm feeling, instead of, oh, I know this, I know so-and-so was lying to you. You have to be very careful what you're telling people. Oh, I love that. Jamie woke up at 2:22 this morning, or yesterday morning. I love that. So you have to be very careful with I know statements, because we can always be wrong. Can we be right? Of course, that's the point. But just because you feel it vehemently still doesn't mean 150% of the time that you're always right. I would say that once you get good psychically, you're probably right? I've had people come back later who were like, I never thought that person would do me dirty, and you were 100% right. So, and that's not a great feeling for the psychic, believe it or not. One, yes, you like to be right, but two, that's too bad that someone just got done dirty or cheated on or lied to or stolen from, or, whatever you want to call it, or that the animal did pass away, or that, stuff like that. You always want to check in with your sitter. So you'll see some people on here, especially on TikTok, and they'll just keep going and they'll just keep dropping info and dropping info and dropping info, and they go very quick. And one of the reasons they go very quickly is because if they ask if it resonates, they're going to get no's, because they're not always tapped in like they think they are. So you want to slow down and you want to say, do you understand this? Does this resonate with you? Am I close? Right? Let's get into this. What questions does this bring up? And if you guys watch me do psychic readings on TikTok, you know that this is kind of how I work, right? We need to look into this instead of just going and spouting off a laundry list of info for the next 15 minutes. What does that do for me? You need to check in. Do you understand this? Does this resonate? Does this bring up a new question? Does this take us in a different direction? All right. And you can say things like, I'm feeling, or I'm picking up on, or would you understand this, or does this mean anything to you? So I was actually doing a mixed reading yesterday, and a motorcycle just literally like right in front of my face, right? And I was like, oh, a motorcycle just went right in front of my face, and we weren't talking about that. I was like, do you ride? She said, no. That's how the person that she was talking to had passed. And I was like, oh my goodness. And because it was so mixed, we were actually in the psychic portion, and I feel like spirit wanted to go back to the mediumship portion and just drove a motorcycle right over my nose. Of course, you want to avoid vague, generic statements. And that's more or less what a ton of people are. It's just very vague. It's very generic. It could apply to anyone. That's what you want to avoid, right? Oh, you've been through a lot. I don't know anyone that hasn't, right? What have I been through? If you're a psychic, if you're really an energy reader, let's see what you can find. What kind of a trapped emotion can you find? What age can you take me back to? What do you feel? Yes, I've been through a lot. What, right? Bring the emotion into the reading. Bring what you feel into the reading. All these people on social media that say you should never cry or show emotion in a reading, I think that's foolish. I think that we need to upgrade the way that we read. And one of the ways to upgrade the way that we read is that we are also emotional beings. And when we sit there like robots and we're talking about someone's passed over loved one, or the hassles that they're going through right now, being empathetic to them, to me, is incredibly important. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit there and be like, and then, right? And we're sitting there talking about a passed over animal. No, you have to not mirror, well, a little bit, you mirror how they're feeling in order to best help them. All right, let's keep going. Oh, and then I gave my example that I didn't read. So instead of you've been through a lot, there's a heavy energy from 2 or 3 years ago, something unresolved. Does that make sense? So number one, sometimes I can go back and say 2 to 3 years ago, something happened. So you can call it a heavy energy, you can call it an interesting energy, you can call it a traumatic event or whatever. Most of the time, they are able to connect those dots. Oh, Oregon's been waking up at 3:33 in the morning. It was hard to put that into time. I love that. All right. And then, of course, okay, we're getting to the end. We'll talk about meditation next week. So the whole purpose is to support their self-growth and their own belief in their own intuition. When you are tapped into your own intuition, you don't need a reading from me or anyone else because you're tapped in, right? I do still get readings. I have a couple of people that I trust dearly that I will go to and ask. Most of the time it's Tara. Every now and then Tara is not immediately available at the drop of a hat. So I'll reach out to other people, but it's because I'm not sure myself. And it isn't because I don't have my intuition or trust my intuition. It's because sometimes our intuition is trauma informed. So am I feeling paranoid? Friend of mine, you can find her on here. By the way, I don't know what her name is now on TikTok. But sometimes our intuition is very trauma informed. So if you are paranoid from being abused in the past, what do you think that your intuition is kind of going to go to? It's going to go to the worst case scenarios sometimes. And you have to pull back and you have to tell yourself and your body, I'm not in that energy anymore. I'm not in that position anymore. I need to update this energy. I need to update my own intuition. So I will still go to someone to tap in and what do you see? And can you validate this? And that sort of thing. All right. So you need to, as a reader, you need to not just give answers, but tap into their ability to read for themselves. Does this bring up anything for you? Do you want to explore this more? You should journal about this. Give them ways. Yeah, that's right. Jamie just reached out to me yesterday. Thank you, Lisa. Because she probably feels trauma informed, right? Because Jamie, you've had issues in the past with this sort of question. And so, in other words, if you've been cheated on before, and that's not what Jamie's question was, if you've been cheated on before, you're technically going to feel like, oh my God, I've been here before. And immediately you're going to go into that energy and go into those loops and you're going to sit here and say, this is what's happening. I know this is what's happening. The cards are going to kind of validate that fear, right? As opposed to the reality of this situation. And that's why sometimes you need a neutral third party who has not felt that fear before. By the way, Jamie's question was health related, not, I don't want to throw anything out there and make people think that was your question. That was my question a time or two back in the day, that's for sure. So you want them to feel empowered, not dependent. And then that's really when the real growth happens, right? Is when we trust our own intuition. Okay. And then you're going to want to recap it. So in your reading, you're going to want to recap the key points, right? You're going to want to, so in a lot of animal readings, I'm like, okay, so we have, he wants this, he wants this. They want to start trying to put one of those little halter things on a cat, and this cat wanted to try to take walks, right? And, oh yeah, no worries, Jamie, no worries. So you're going to do like the key points. If it was a health reading, you want to give up sugar. We, discovered this, we discovered this, we discovered this. Ask if they have any questions that they may need elaboration. That's a tricky one because when you're at the end of a reading and you're doing the recap, you don't necessarily want them to start coming in with new questions. The reading's over. You have to respect your time. You have to respect your energy. This is an energy exchange. All these wackaloons on social media that are like, how are you charging for this? Because it's a job. It's work. I've done the work to get here. I've spent the money to learn this. Therefore, I charge. That's just the way life works. And then you're going to want to offer like a grounding closure. Like, so you could have a small outro, if you will, right? Take a deep breath. Do you feel grounded? Do you feel okay? More or less, that would be more in a mediumship reading to me, because you don't want someone to be grieving so deeply that you just end the reading and then you're like, hey, good luck out there. You know, you want to be something like, are you okay? How are you doing? Do we need a moment of silence? Do we need to, metaphorically hold hands? Like, is there anything you need before I just let you go? And so always give yourself a little bit of time for that, because you don't want to send someone. I mean, hopefully your reading has been supportive and positive and provided closure and healing, but you don't want to just send someone off who is actively like a mess, right? You want to take, even if it goes over time, you want to take that time to be like, are you going to be okay? Is there someone that you can talk to? Is there someone that you can reach out to? So I'm not seeing any messages on YouTube. That was 46 minutes. That's crazy. I do love this stuff. My goodness, because that went really fast. So, and now I'm open to questions. If there's any questions on YouTube, let me know. I'm not seeing, it says all messages are visible, but YouTube is kind of tricky and I'm on an iPad, so I'm not sure. All right. Not seeing anything on YouTube. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you have any questions about being psychic or the information that I just gave? Thank you. You guys, it doesn't look the same on, I guess it kind of looks the same on YouTube. TikTok just makes us look better. No, that's okay, Kay. No worries. I'm saying, is there any questions about being psychic? Any questions about the information I just gave? That sort of thing. All right, next week, I think we're going to talk about meditation, why it's important, how it works into, Jamie, please remind me. Thank you, Oregon, Tara. Jamie, if you would please remind me next Saturday, I was going to talk about meditation, why it's beneficial to being psychic, how it's beneficial to being psychic, why you even want to do it. Thank you, thank you. How long does it take to build a psychic skill set? Less time than you think it does. A lot of people want to nickel and dime you to death, and they want you in class after class after class after class, because how do people make money, right? Return customers. Your psychic ability takes a lot less time than you think it does. In my opinion, if you listen to every single one of these free videos that I'm putting on YouTube, and you go back and reference these free videos that I'm putting on YouTube, you've had a foundational class. This is a foundational psychic class, right? So it's also going to take practice. It's going to take practice. You need to get like a little, where's my little, everyone should have one of these cute little field note things. It doesn't need to be in depth. It doesn't need to be, like, I was doing a mediumship reading about a missing girl. And this was kind of a forensic mediumship thing. And I was trying to figure out where she was, and I started drawing this. So this little notebook is for anything that you happen to be doing at that time. Oh, that's right. And then I even tested I even got a license plate, and then I even tested myself with the names of other girls that were missing. And I wanted to know, because I was trying to test myself to make sure that the information coming through is accurate. And so I wrote down these names, and I was working with someone else. I was working with this gal who's on the search team for this girl. And I wrote down some other stuff, and then she validated it for me. Does that make sense? So one of the things about the time it takes to build, when I first started getting into this, if I'm not working at my 9 to 5, I'm doing something with this. Literally every day, all day. And I've been doing it for years. So I would say that I was psychic much faster than I was a medium. And I would say that I was psychic much faster than the animal communication. All right, let's see. I think I actually have a question on YouTube. Can a person have a third eye block? When I ground myself, oh, where'd it go? What just happened? Oh, there we go. When I ground myself or try to meditate and line my chakras, I always have a throbbing or pain. Why can I not? What is happening on YouTube? All right. Oh shit, there are comments. Okay. Thank you. All right. I always have a throbbing or a pain as soon as I get into my third eye chakra. That is interesting, and I would definitely look up the emotions around a third eye chakra. And then I would do some meditations about your chakra, about your third eye, about what you believe a third eye to be. What do you think a third eye is? What is it supposed to provide you? What fear might you have around what you can see and what you can't see? So that's where I would start, right? I would definitely get. Sorry, guys. Usually my nose bothers me when we have a lot of spirits in here right now, right? Because we're talking about this and everything, and my nose starts to itch. So that's where I would definitely start. I don't know where that book is at the moment, but I would look at a chakra book. What is the third eye chakra? What kind of information am I trying to access? And why might I be almost blocking my own self? What am I afraid to see? What am I afraid to know? That's where I would start. I start at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. That's mountain time. And I'm going to be doing this for March and for April. I may have overestimated. 2 months is a lot of info, right? 2 months every Saturday is a lot of info, and it means I can't read because I can't be on here like all day, right? So I'm definitely going to finish March, but I may have overestimated. 2 months is a little bit long. So Jamie's over here. Jamie's in my class right now, and we're reading on day 1, and that's true. So the way that I throw students into this energy is that you watch a video. We have an introduction night where you meet the class, and I have a class already going, so I'm not selling the class. I'm telling you just kind of how I work with people. So you've watched a video, you've read a handout, you've had an introduction night, you've had a meditation night, and then Thursday, I will still give some info. I'm like so full of info that sometimes I need to slow down because it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? So I will give the info, and then you read. You sit in my energy and you read me. The very first time you're going to read me. The next time you're going to read other people, right? So we read me. I think we read each other, and then week 2.5, because I ended up adding a week. I had a sitter, and that sitter was Tara, and she's very, very good. And the class is killing it. And we are 3 weeks in, Jamie. 3.5 weeks in, and they're already bringing through. Every single person has brought through information. Every single person. Now, some people are going to struggle a little more than others because it's hard to jump into something like this and trust yourself right away. All right. Yeah, Heather, me too. So I am finding that there's a lot of hyperbole out there. There's a lot of exaggeration out there by psychics and mediums who are like, oh, I've helped find this and I've helped find that. I'm finding that that's not really the case. And I won't work with someone unless I'm either talking to a family member or a police person, a detective, or a private investigator. Because there's or search and rescue. I was talking to a search team person. Because if you're just doing it on social media for attention, number one, I kind of feel like that's shitty karma, right? But the person that needs that information isn't going to get that information. So I don't necessarily believe people who are doing it like online for clicks and clout. You should be working with someone who is actively connected to that missing person, or someone that you believe was maybe murdered even, right? Heather was saying, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. That's been my experience. Psychic more than medium this far, but working on mediumship. So my input for mediumship is that mediumship is it's not dramatically different from psychic, but it's definitely, I probably won't be doing a lot of mediumship teaching on here, if that makes sense, because you need to be in a circle. You need to have the back and forth. You need to be actively sitting with and reading people for people to get the yeses and the nos. And then you need someone who's experienced at facilitating that to tell you, okay, hold on. All right, do this. All right, but do you also see this? All right, hold on. Because here's what I feel. Do you feel that? So there's so much back and forth within mediumship mentorship that I don't really think that it can be done on social media per se. Like I can give tips and tricks, but yeah, I would need to know more about you for helpful tips for you specifically. Thank you, Jamie. Tapping is clapping. All right. Absolutely. All right. What is the cost of the course, if I may ask on a live? Yeah, you may actually. And I think that anyone that doesn't talk about their prices on a live, maybe they should reconsider what they're charging, right? So it's a 4-month course. I tend to go above and beyond. I've already added 2 extra nights for the beginners and 2 extra nights for the advanced. Plus I added an extra night of psychic reading because I want people to make sure that they leave knowing that they got their money's worth. It's $850 for basically a 4-month course, which I have taken literally thousands of dollars worth of classes, and I created the class that I would want to take for the money that I would want to pay for it. I still think it's a little bit low, but I'm comfortable at that price point, and I have to be comfortable at that price point in order to, you know what I mean? And then I even give a $25 discount if it's paid in full, or I should say Venmo or Cash App, because then I don't have to pay any of the credit card fees. I charge for 40 minutes mix and match psychic reading on Zoom. I charge $175 for a 60-minute mix and match psychic, animal communication, mediumship, whatever you want to call it, mentorship, spiritual assessment, forecasting, future casting, excuse me. It's $250 an hour. So my prices don't change based on the person. My prices don't change based on the death. I actually literally heard of a medium one time who her prices changed based on how the person passed away. Say what? I don't charge extra for expedited. I think that is predatory marketing or predatory actions. There is somebody that I know of on social media, and she pushes her. I think they're $700 to $900. I don't know how much they are now, and she will push if you need an expedited reading, contact me right away, and they're $1,300. And I want to tell you that if you're paying $1,300 for mediumship reading, you are being scammed. Period. End of story. Done. There are so many good, reputable, real mediums who are charging so much less, and I even think $250 an hour is a little bit. I'm comfortable at that price point with my education now and my abilities now, but it took me years to get to that price point, and I'm probably going to stay at that price point for some time because I think that it's very easy to gouge vulnerable people. When my mom died, I would have paid any amount of money, and some of these scammers could have got me so bad back in the day, so bad. Thank you, Jamie. She said I'm an amazing teacher. And I've had some amazing teachers, right? One of the reasons that I teach the way I do is that I've had really horrible teachers and I've had really good teachers. And so everything you hear, everything you go to, every class you go to, you're going to take something away from that I really liked this. I didn't necessarily like this, like Zoom rooms. I'm not a Zoom room person. I can't stand to be in a Zoom room with someone. I want the teacher there watching, listening, and paying attention so that teacher can give me feedback. So how is a teacher going to give me feedback if they stick me in a Zoom room, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think that it's filler. I think that a lot of these teachers, they want to get to a certain price point, and so they fill it with meditations. They fill it with Zoom rooms. They fill it with fluff. I don't come to my classes with fluff as my students can tell you. In fact, one of my students is my own cousin right now, and she's in my class, and she's like, well, are we gonna take a minute to like ground and do this and do that? I was like, no, you should have done that before you got to class. You're not paying me to teach you to ground. You're paying me to teach you skills. You should be grounding and meditating on your own time. You shouldn't be doing. I used to get so annoyed. One class, we spent 45 minutes in a meditation, and I'm like, I can meditate for free on YouTube. What are we doing? Literally. So I make sure I added that extra psychic night because I didn't send the handout immediately the next day, and I should have, right? So I had a class, and then I didn't send the thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate that. On YouTube. I didn't send the handout immediately the next day. I would have been irritated about that as a student because my time is valuable. So you need to be on the ball if you're going to take my money. And then, so I was like, let me add another week because I fucked up, right? Excuse my language. I'm on YouTube. That's how I talk on TikTok and not so much on YouTube. I messed up. So I added 2.5 a week, right? And then after that class, the next day, I need to be accountable to send the link for the class. I need to be accountable to send the next week's handout. You see where I'm going here? So if you don't have a teacher that responds like that, you may have to have a discussion with them, right? Or people are human also. So I'm not going to act like I'm some kind of robot that's never going to make a mistake. Definitely, I make mistakes all the time. Rambling is one of them. Jamie said, I had never read anyone before. I knew I was very empathic and intuitive, but didn't know how to use it. Yeah, absolutely. Jamie's been killing it. Jamie's been, Jamie, the first night. I should have a conversation with you about that because I still haven't had a conversation with you about the first night that you read and just how incredibly dead on you were. It was crazy. Yeah, she's amazing herself, and I love that. I fucking love that. See, I keep forgetting I'm on YouTube. I try not to cuss on YouTube. It's a different crowd. Yeah, exactly. And she's saying, like, I helped her put it in order. That's the other thing is that even when you get information, you have to put it in some sort of an understandable order, right? And so that's where an experienced mentor comes in order to, like, tell you what you need to know. I mean, for lack of a better term. Definitely, Heather. So those circles, I used to do those circles more often, and I haven't really been doing them just because of a time, there's only so much time in the day. I still have a regular 9 to 5. I have so many dogs. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Yes, you do. I want to talk to you a little bit offline, maybe on Marco Polo, because I definitely want you to feel more confident. And I want you to jump in there a little bit more. So I have one student who is incredibly empathic and she feels everything. So incredibly clear feeling. And a lot of times people will think that I'm making it up when I tell them the depth of my, dang it, I'm going to get emotional. So Jennifer felt the depth of my depression. Whew. Well, there we go, guys. There's the emotion. And I think that she thought I was just making her feel better. And let me be very clear, I was not. I'm never going to lie to a student to make them feel better or to make the information fit. I will explain why it fits and I'll explain why it doesn't fit. So I think, Jennifer, you need to be way more confident because you're very clear feeling, okay? And that's a hard one to tone down, right? That's a hard one to tone down. And so early on, I used to cry through every reading. Like I was just like, oh my God. And now I've toned it down, but I'm not going to take it away. Oh, thank you, Tara. Exactly, right? I'm not going to take it away. And I've had so many people drag me on social media about, oh my God, she cried. And I was like, look at my face, man. I have a lot of, I don't know. Sorry. YouTube makes me just feel older. Yeah, absolutely, Jennifer. So a lot of people have dragged me on social media about that I show emotion. And they're like, oh, mediums should be balanced and mediums should be this and medium. I'm a human being, and one of the ways that the information comes through for me is clear feeling. And I'm not going to take that away. And I almost did one time. One of these teachers was like, you should ask your spirit team to take that away. And I was like, and I did. And then I didn't feel it again for a while. And I'm like, oh my God, where did it go? Like, I was stressed and I wanted it back. And so they gave it back to me, but it was toned down a little bit. Now I can get through a reading, but just like yesterday, I started to cry with the sitter. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, it was sad. It was incredibly sad. And I don't know. I'm hosting a free workshop right now, Heather. Bless your heart. She's like, money's just not there right now. Do you ever host free workshops? I want to create something. Yeah, this is a free workshop. So share it, keep it, post it, repost it. It's going to live on YouTube because I am trying to send more people to YouTube. I don't download these that are this long usually because I have to go through and I have to edit them, and then I have to pick them out. And you know what it could do though, if I downloaded this one, I know there is a software app that you'll upload to them, and then they'll pick out these like little parts of it, and then I could load. See, all that sounds like too much. I'm constantly like trying to do more, but then I have to realize when enough is enough as well, right? So anyway, thank you, Jamie. Yeah, appreciate that. So my spiritual assessments, I have, it's so funny because literally one of my readings the other day was a spiritual assessment, and I had this whole, all right. Oh, that was my tummy growling. So I had this whole spiritual assessment, right? So I have this whole plan, and then often we don't follow the plan. We just follow kind of whatever spirit throws in there. But more or less, I check in with your baseline. So that's about, 5-6 minutes. Like, what interests you? What kind of psychic experiences have you already had? When you enter a room, like, what do you feel? Excuse me. So we go through, first of all, kind of determining where you are psychically. Then I go through and I do another, like, what's your vibe, right? And then this might be with cards. Usually it's with cards. I do love my tarot. I don't need my tarot. I love my tarot. A lot of people are like, I don't use cards. And I'm like, good for you. I love my cards. You can do it with tools and without. Then I get into the psychic strength, main gift, hidden strength. I don't want to say the whole thing, right? Because people just steal content on here. But we get into what your psychic strength is. And then we get into what the answers mean. And then we talk about activating things. And we also talk about strengthening intuitive abilities. And then depending on what you want before you go in, some people want to talk about their spirit guides. Some people want to talk about specifically being psychic. Some people want to talk about specifically being medium. So really, it's up to you. You come to me and you say, I want you to look into XYZ, or I want you to, again, the better the questions, the better the reading. All right. Jamie said, I broke my payments up. It's so worth it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to pay Jamie just for all this promotion. I'm kidding. You're not getting my money. I'm just kidding. Tap, tap, tap. I do think it is. I think it is absolutely a good value. I have paid much more for less, for sure. Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to make payments, and I do think that I will be doing another class this year, but it won't be until maybe like August or September, because it takes a lot out of everyone, right? So this started February 19th, and it's going through June. It was going to end June 5th, but I'm adding 2 different classes because I realized, like, I have a pretty big class this time. And so I have beginners and I have advanced, and I don't want them to feel shorted ever. So I'm going to do 2 more circles with beginners and 2 more circles with advanced, right? And then we also are going, And then I want to have another night because I gave them an exercise and then I didn't give away to give feedback. So I'm going to add another Wednesday night. So we're going to end up going through June, right? So February 19th through June for $850 with circles every week. So I think it's a great deal. In fact, it's starting to sound like a really damn good deal. Yeah, Jamie, you're killing it in class. Oh, Emma, you got goosebumps. I love that. How do we get on your list? That's a great question, Crystal. That I should be more. I should be more of a marketer. So let's do that. Let DM me. No, I won't remember. If I start a list, I won't remember. Your email will get lost. I won't remember this come September or August. First of all, sorry, I get stuck in my own head sometimes. Here's what I'm gonna write down. Starting a list. I need to start a list for September. Start a interest. We'll call it an interest list because I called it a wait list one time and everybody thought that meant it was full. And it wasn't full. I meant, like, if you're interested, I'm going to get back to you. So, got to use the right words. Start an interest list for next class. So, we have Crystal Company. Then go ahead, Crystal Company, and DM me your company. My goodness, I can't spell. TikTok. I'm going to make sure I know where you are. Go ahead and DM me your email and your name and your phone number, and I will screenshot that, and I will try to save those screenshots in like a different little part of my phone. Oh, that's right, Jamie. So Jamie was in class, and as soon as she started reading for Tara, she started, you know what, Jamie? So did Linda. I talked with Linda later, and she's like, I just felt, she was feeling heavy and nauseous as well. And Jamie was feeling nauseous. She was feeling everything, and Tara ended up attaching that to something else that of course I can't remember it right now. You probably remember. But those feelings, that's why I don't enjoy everyone who's like, oh, work on your claircognizance, work on this, work on that. How does it work for you? How does it work for you? If you feel it, then yes, you probably want to work on seeing as well. But how it comes into you is how you naturally... being strangled by my own sweater. How it comes into you is what you want to improve, right? I'm very clear knowing, so I allow that clear knowing to shine. I allow it to be the boss. I allow it to come in. Now, do I also feel taste, hear, etc.? I do. But I'm not going to value one over another, because as soon as you do that, maybe you lose one's trying to come in, right? So a talent, clear hearing is trying to come in, and all you want to do is work on clear seeing. So clear hearing is sitting in the background going, but I could tell you right now, but you don't want to hear what I have to say. That worked out pretty well. So I don't shake those up. Damaris, good morning. Good morning. All right. I don't know what to... Tam and the twins, I'll put you down as interested. And I understand there was people that wanted to get into this class, and Tam and the twins, and it didn't work out for one reason or another. You know what I mean? They maybe they didn't have the money at the moment. Maybe they didn't feel like I was the right teacher at the moment. Not everybody's gonna like me. I am an acquired taste, and I throw you guys like literally. It's like boot camp. It's not one of these little fuzzy feeling safe space places. It's not. I'm not a fuzzy safe teacher. I'm gonna throw you in boot camp drill sergeant, right? Thank you, Damaris. She said I love her classes. Hell yes. And Damaris is actually an energy worker, right? And so a lot of people are like, well, I'm already doing this. Why would I take your class? Because I'm helping people to finesse what they're already getting. So like Damaris is already incredibly experienced, and she sees the worth in continuing education with someone that she thinks that she can learn from. And I think that's super important too, continual learning. Are you a know-it-all or are you a learn-it-all, right? So for anybody wondering, I'm on YouTube and TikTok, which is why I keep doing this. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Jennifer was saying that's what she needs, is that boot camp style, right? All right. Sorry, I got distracted. There's a message coming in. Yeah, well, I'll be doing another one. I wasn't going to this year, but I think I am. I think so, Elizabeth. Yeah, do you want me to write you down as interested? So if you're interested in the next one, make sure you DM me your name, your email. I'm trying to get better at keeping the information handy. Anyone that knows me knows organization is my struggle, for sure. Yeah, thank you, Jamie. I love that. She's just being honest. I think August, September is going to be my next round because I have missed this. So I didn't do any classes for a year. I really had to step back. I really had to de-stress. I was going through some stuff personally. I was going through some stuff medically. So I really just had to step back from everything. And so it was a year before I did any classes. And I have missed it. I have missed it. And I have such a cool fucking class. Oh, sorry. Sorry, YouTube. You're going to have to get used to the F word. I have such a cool class right now. I mean, legitimately, everyone that is there, I feel like was just sent to me personally. MA is interested. All right. So you guys, again, if you're interested, make sure you DM me. Name, email, phone number. And I'm not going to twist your arm to be in my class. You can ask one of my students. She kept trying to get a hold of me. It really is, Tara. She said fuck is such a fantastic expression. It really is. I have one student who I didn't get back to her, and I didn't get back to her, and I finally called her one day, and I was like, are we good? Like, are you in? Are you out? I can't recall. And she's like, I said, I'm not much of a salesperson. She's like, you are not much of a salesperson. She's like, I've been reaching out, and I couldn't get you to get back to me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So here's the thing. I'm not talking anyone into my class. I am expecting the universe to send me exactly the students that I need. They need me at this time, and I need them at this time. And I expect that for every class. That's the agreement I have with the universe, spirit world, God, whoever you believe in, that he are sending me legitimately open-minded people who need a hand, right? Again, I have experienced people in my class. My class is very much a hodgepodge of beginners and experienced, and I kind of like it that way. And I haven't really broken it out by beginners and experienced yet, although I will for mediumship this go around. And we'll see how that works, because I'm always there's always a method to my madness, and I'm always in progress. So if something doesn't work the first time, I'm not afraid to tweak it and change it up. And so we do have a big class right now. So I'm going to break down the mediumship, and I'm going to have more beginners and then more advanced. And I'm going to do one on Wednesday and one on Thursday so that they get the time that they are kind of owed, right? You guys gave me money, so you're owed my best. So... Oh, Koki is interested. All right. Make sure you DM me. COKE 3320. Oh, yes, Elizabeth. I'm sorry. I'm just not very good at this. It's not that I'm not good at this. It's that I don't remember to say everything, right? So, for example, there is Klarna. There is PayPal payments. And there is... Affirm. And again, maybe there's a reason you weren't in this class, Elizabeth. So I definitely wouldn't beat yourself up. I would say, I wonder what I'm still learning, and then get into that August class, right? So there's something that maybe you still need to, maybe you're busy, right? Maybe your energy just wasn't there right now. So I would never think it's a bad thing that you didn't get into this class. I think that the universe works weird, and I have stopped fighting the universe, and I have stopped fighting, like, obviously there's some things I still fight. Anyways, I'm not going to go there at this moment. We're in a positive mindset, but maybe something's coming up for you. There's just a ton of things that could be going on for you between now and August that make it completely different. And then in August, you're like, I'm in that class. One of my people, Ghost Hunter, I think she's waited 3 years to get in this class, if I'm not mistaken. And she's killing it. Like, I'm so excited for the people in my class. I I'm, and it was really fun because so we did a psychic thing Thursday night, and the sitter Tara is also experienced and is also taught, and so she was giving feedback to the students, and I'm just sitting there knitting. I was like, this is amazing. And then I called her later. I was like, you're amazing. Like, you're amazing. And I love her to death. Anyway, what was my point there? Oh, so the one that waited like 3 years, she's in it now, right? So just because you can't get into something right now, don't push it. Don't ever make me more important than your groceries or your insurance bill or anything like that. I don't want someone's money that they had to, like, yes, make payments, because I've been there. I've made payments on so many classes, but I don't want anyone's money that it's between food or coming to a class, ever. Literally ever. So just keep that in mind. It may just not be the right time for you. So, and I'm not saying that's you, Elizabeth. I'm just saying it in general. All right. Let's keep going. Let's see here. What is happening? There we go. Damaris says, it was hard for me to keep awake when Jen popped in. I was picking up her complete exhaustion. Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, Damaris is an energy worker. And so us energy people, right, it comes in. Now, remember, energy is also energy vampires. So you have to be very careful who you're allowing in, and you got to be able to pick it apart. Tam says she likes tight turtlenecks. Tam always comes in here with her little Tam. That's so cute. That is so funny. Yes, absolutely, Damaris. I love it too because it's information. It's information that we're allowing to come in. Now, I think it was Jamie that Tara was telling Jamie, let the universe, let whoever's giving you this feeling right now, let them know that it's okay. I got it. I got the information. Now you can take away this feeling. I was doing a reading the other day, and my whole left side, is this my left? Yeah, left side. My whole left side hurt. And once I had given that information, it was a piece of evidence for the person whose husband had passed over. I was like, okay, we can take it away now. I got it. Yes. Oh, and yeah, Damaris was saying she absolutely loves to keep learning, 100%. Oh, Jamie, I love that. So I had given Jamie a reading years ago, and frankly, I would literally have to go back and watch that, Jamie, and because I do so many readings. And she says she felt she could trust me, and she's never had a reading from anyone else, and I love that. And don't give too much info anymore about your dad, right? Because the other students are going to be reading you. Damaris says, I love her no BS style. I want to learn, not fluff stuff. Literally. So my fluff stuff is on social media, because once I get in class, I feel like I'm very structured. Although I had a little bit of feedback the other night that maybe I wasn't as structured as I felt like I was. But I have taken classes that were spirit led, and I'm like, this is bullshit. This is literally bullshit. I gave you money. I at least want like a syllabus or an agenda, or at least what we're supposed to be talking about. Do things get off left field every now and then? Yeah, they do. Thank you, Jamie. Perfect. Okay. Yes, we do have a very cohesive class. And honestly, I really haven't had a class yet that hasn't really gelled together. In fact, some people have made lifelong friends in my classes. And some people, afterwards, maybe they decide they don't like me for whatever reason. And that happens. That happens. You take a class from someone you think you like, and then maybe you don't like them afterwards. And I personally don't take it personal. I mean, maybe I should, but I'm not for everybody. Nobody's for everybody, right? All right. Yeah, we have definitely a mixed bag of peeps, and I like that you like that, because I wasn't sure. Like, sometimes it's hard to have a mixed bag, but I think I'm facilitating it well. Oh, that's a good idea, Jamie. You guys are always welcome to continue taking classes with me. So what I do is I give a discount to any students who have already taken a class with me, and instead of $850, it's $550. And then I do have I can work with people on a very small limited basis, just because I'm a one-woman show. Very cool, very cool. I think so too, Tam. Oh, Elizabeth, you got a 9-week-old puppy last week. I love that. Just so did I, by the way. Where is that little boy? He's in the house somewhere. He's such a good boy. Oh my goodness. I'm going to get off on a... You have 6 animals too? So do I, Elizabeth. I literally, when my son is here, we end up with 6 dogs. Wait, let's see. There's 4, 5, 6, 6.5 because of the Chihuahua. Yeah, Jamie. Absolutely. She said everything happens for a reason. I needed this class more than I realized. I love that, Elizabeth. Hell yeah, I love your name too. You know why? Get in the car, Elizabeth. I love that show. Bad girls, good girls, good girls. She's sweet and loving and a handful. August is going to be perfect. I love that. Elizabeth says, I'm in the 2-year wait club. My time will come. Absolutely. Put it out there and trust that when it's meant to be, it will be. 100%. Absolutely. All right. Nat says, you mentioned you do spiritual assessment. Can you explain what those look like? So I just did, Nat. I wonder, because I feel like we just talked about that. I talked about it a little bit. And I don't give up my entire, like I have 12, no, I did one-sided. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 pages of what I try to get through on a spiritual assessment. Now, sometimes we get a little bit further. Sometimes we don't get as far, depending on what you want. It really, honestly, a spiritual assessment is about what you want. Do you want to know spiritually where you're stuck and you're looking for trapped emotions? Or do you want to know spiritually where you should go next? Like, I've done this and I want to know, should I do this or should I do this? So there's different ways. Definitely shoot me an email if you want to talk about it before you pay for it. I'm always open for questions. Always. And again, if somebody isn't going to talk about something on social media, I always think why. Like, well, why won't... It's either a good deal or it's not, right? So so feel free to ask. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly, right? We just talked about it a little bit. Because people steal content, basically. Elizabeth says, do you find energy vampires in the spirit realm too when doing your mediumship? Ish. So what happens is, I feel that they would have been an energy vampire in life. And that's part of the evidence. And that's part of what gets validated. Are they still an energy vampire over there? No, not exactly. I think that over there, they're learning. They see where they messed up. I see a lot of them come in with... literally, they come in with a notebook and a pen, right? Because they're still learning. I disagree with a lot of mediums who say, oh, your ego, excuse me. They say your ego disappears. I completely disagree. Your ego doesn't go anywhere. Your ego is who you are. So it would make 0 sense to come down here, work through ego issues, work through your personality, improve yourself down here, and then you get over there and half of it's gone. That makes 0 sense to me. So I don't believe it. That's right, Jamie. It was a drug withdrawal and you were violently sick. I need to tell Linda that. Yes, that's right. Not Tara, just to be clear. Tara was working with someone who was going through a drug withdrawal. That person was sick. So Jamie ended up going from Tara to that person. And that's the thing, is that you can get to other energy through energy, right? I mean, technically, you can think of someone right now and get to their energy if you really want to. Elizabeth says, like, do some spirits drain you intentionally more than others? I know humans do. I really don't think so. I haven't had that experience at all. And I also usually feel energized when I'm doing this stuff because I will leave a psychic fair and I will feel energized because I'm using universal energy for one thing. I'm not using my personal Mariana's energy. Did I get enough sleep last night? I'm bringing in the universe. I'm bringing in spirit guides, whatever it is, crystal energy. I don't care who wants to work. Well, I do care who wants to work with me, but we're not doing any demons over here. But I will use not just my energy when I'm working with it. So, yeah, exactly, Jamie. Hey, Monica. Yes. Did you ever decide to record the current one at a reduced price? Yes. So I do have, put that on my list. I do have the videos available on this video thing. Like it's like Teachable, but it's not Teachable. Make videos available. And I apologize. I've just been busy, and so I haven't been able to do that. I need to get with them because I don't understand how to make it singular and put a price on it so that you guys can just pay for that. And then what I'll need to do is I'll need to have a way to incorporate you guys. How would I do that? Because see, I couldn't give you a reduced rate as a student later if you just bought the videos. But what I could do is have a video only circle. I'll have to, let me think about that one, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, get in the car, Elizabeth. I keep going back to that. My God, that's going to be stuck in my head forever. Yeah, that's a good idea, really. That's a really good idea. I like that. I would like to know what is possible for my spiritual gifts. Got it. Yeah, and so then you would email me. We would talk about that ahead of time. We could even do a phone call before, because an hour spiritual assessment is $250. I'm more than willing to talk to you on the phone for that amount of money. And I think anyone who isn't willing to answer your questions via, like, we're not going to sit there for an hour, right? But I can give you 10, 15 minutes to talk about what you'd like to tackle and how you'd like to tackle it before you book, so that you know when you book. Now the hard part is you just have to remind me, right, between the time we talk and the time you book that we talked. Damaris said, I found you on TikTok and I'd been waiting for you to open a class. This was the right, perfect. I love that. And that was your sweet spot for the price. I love that. Very cool, very cool. Hello, hello. I get drained, which is what I need help with for sure. Cool. Oh, we could talk about that next week too. Yeah, so these are free workshops, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. I've been on here 90 minutes now, which it has gone so fast because I love this so much. So I don't know if anybody's going to make it through the 90-minute YouTube. They might, right? All right. Okay, so I'm going to get off of YouTube. Thank you for being here. Definitely go back and watch the other videos. I've been doing this. This is the third video, so there should be 3 live videos, and they each have their own information. The information is not necessarily regurgitated. So the first one was psychic. The second one was Claire's. The third one today, we were talking about, like, what do you actually do as a reader for a sitter? Okay. Yeah, and I said this was going through April. I may have I may have overestimated Saturday mornings. So because I'm not able to read on TikTok because I'm doing the education part. So these are basically free workshops, right? So share, word of mouth advertising is the best advertising there is. Share, talk about it, like, tap in, getting tired. Thank you, YouTube. I'm going to let YouTube go. I'm going to come over here and close down because it's been 91 minutes now, and I got to go make a new dog pen because I have too many dogs. All right, how do I stop this? Oh, there we go.